Hello and welcome back to another SouthernAirs video. Myself, Matt Benjamin Walker today.
Tyler Jetforce Warbirds out at your service.
Mitch the Brewster Shea on the sticks again.
Susanna Mushroom Hunter.
And
Jason the Carman Thompson.
Today we are at Imperial War Museum in Duxford, based in Cambridge. It is the biggest aviation museum in Europe, which is quite impressive.
And in my opinion, one of the three of the holy trinity of aviation museums in Europe.
Yeah. Myself, Tyler and Zuza here were last here in 2019.
I took this one in 2017.
And it'll be Jason's first time. So let's jump in and see what we can get up to.
Ciao, ciao.
My favourite all-time aircraft, the Vulcan bomber. Such a beauty, such a beauty. With a blue steel missile just over there.
It's the Vulcan bomber.
I believe this Vulcan arrived here in 1986. It was either 86 or 82, I can't remember exactly. Part of the V-Force bombers, along with the Valiant and the Victors. One of these aircraft that done the Black Buck raids. I think it was the only time that this aircraft was used with violence, really. Massive bomb bay. In fact, this was actually one of the world's deadliest aircrafts at one point, where it can carry 2 nuclear tons of bombs, which, you know, that would be awful. I don't think you're going to see much.
You know when this guy holds a Vulcan special to his heart and it's even got his name on it, look. Mr. Matt Benjamin Walker.
And there are many iconic aeroplanes in this collection, but this one is real history. This de Havilland Comet, when it was in service brand new with BOAC in 1958, flew the very first non-stop transatlantic service operated by a jet airliner. It spent a couple of years painted up in Danair colours as its last operator, but in time for the 50th anniversary of its maiden flight to New York, they repainted it in its original BOAC livery. It's good to see that.
I've got his bag, run.
After you. Like I said, this was the very first Comet to do such a job. And it's owned by these amazing people. Cooey.
Tyler Jetforce Warbirds out. Check out the all-in style Lou review. Look at the state of that. Look at it. Look, catchy front seat.
Hey, you notice they actually got like a proper BOAC cup in there? I bet that's as old as 1958.
Oh, it's all mouldy. It's like your knick-knack box, isn't it? All your stuff from when you fly.
You can talk.
For those of you that know Tyler Jetforce Warbirds knows that when he flies, he takes everything off the plane, including like used meal wrappers, and then leaves them in his box to go mouldy. You never ever been on a plane before? No. Oh my word. Okay, well, welcome to the plane.
And you're on the first jet airliner ever built, the Comet.
To complete the transatlantic between New York and London. Yeah, back in 1958.
58, yeah. Very first one.
4th of October 1958, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the very plane that did that flight.
Oh, wow, okay.
So this is real history.
And it's a fire alarm on the plane. Look, typical.
Ding, 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 ding. Oh, that's probably a modern acquisition, but...
Oh, I think so. But it clearly says, no smoking on planes.
The funny bit is you could smoke on this bloody aeroplane back in the day. And you can see proper airline seats, not the rubbish you get nowadays on budget airlines and the modern British Airways.
Ryanair's the best. Shush your mouth, you boy.
You want to say that again?
Yes,
Say it to my face.
Shush your mouth, you boy.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is a breed tour inside the Comet 4. The last time a de Havilland Comet flew was in 1997, which to put in perspective was the same year I was born. Although the Hawker Siddeley Nimrod, which was a military aircraft based on the design of the Comet 4, They continue to fly till as late as 2010.
So this one wasn't open the last time that we were here, but we'll go out and jump on this now. What's it called, Tyler?
It's an Avro, but I'm not sure if it's a York or a Tudor.
Well, we'll have a look at the information in just a second.
I just caught my friend Vladimir Pilgrim. Hello.
There's only 2 of these in existence. This one in Danair colours, and there's an RAF livery one at Cosford.
Nice.
In fact, planes like this were used in the Berlin airlift.
Why do they have to get people out of Berlin?
Now I'm filming. Hello. Hello. Oh, hello. Sorry, I'm camera shy. I was just thinking that.
Temple Half and Tail would be very busy when the airlift was going on.
Oh, now that would make a comfortable armchair. It would do, actually, yeah. You know you're getting old when you're looking at an armchair and think, oh, it's ass.
For GCSE.
Huh?
I'm doing art for GCSE.
Oh, yeah? So you're going to use it all for your artwork as well?
Yeah. All about the journey.
And here we are under the 3rd Concorde ever made, G-ADXN. This was a pre-production Concorde with a new Duke Snoot cockpit canopy, a few extra seats, longer fuselage, and smaller windows. It was either small or large, I can't remember. But like the others, it's absolutely bloody massive. There is a full walkthrough video of this Concorde on our channel, either in the top right corner or linked in the description.
That's the story if you want to.
Beautiful Avro Lancaster. There's that. That joke's never going to get old.
Yeah, they're only allowed to carry 1 bomb on each plane.
One of the crew on the way out, because they were had to stay low the whole time.
Didn't it
I mean,
fly into
some of
power
them hit.
lines?
Yeah, some of them hit power lines. One ripped their bomb off in the English Channel and filled the back half of the plane up with water, and had to turn around and go home.
Ooh.
As you can clearly see, Hangar 1 is the largest hangar at the museum, and you could quite easily spend at least 2 hours here exploring each aircraft. As you can see, I'm grinning like a Cheshire cat because this is my favourite warbird of all time. The Wooden Wonder itself, the de Havilland Mosquito. Fighter bomber, this plane was made completely of plywood on the fuselage. Thousands of these planes were made, operating various iconic missions, including the 1941 Gestapo raid in Oslo, Norway, and Operation Jericho in France, both of which spun off inspiration of 2 iconic 60s World War II films, 63 Squadron and Mosquito Squadron.
So inside of this hangar is all aircraft that still fly or are under restoration to fly. Yeah, it will smell quite a bit of petrol and oil because, as I said, it's all under restoration. The Corsair there, the Harvard just there, many Spitfires. I think that's a Wildcat there.
They're still doing work on this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
So in the next bit we got the Sally B B-17 bomber. In 2015, I believe it was, when we had the Shawarma crash with the Hawker Hunter. There was complaints that there was smoke coming from one of the engines of the aircraft, but that was done on purpose, and a lot of people didn't realise that. So it actually went to our local newspaper, the Daily Echo, which is ridiculous if you ask me.
Yeah, it's a Sally B.
It is Sally B, beautiful aircraft, and I think on the other side they've painted her up to look like Memphis Belle. Just like so, looking like Memphis Belle. Another very famous B-17 bomber. Along with some more Spitfires on the back here. And a Harvard think another Harvard, that yellow one just behind there. Catalina. Now this one can actually land on water, and I think this one was based in Scotland for a long time. I could be wrong. This one was based in Scotland in the Loch Ness for quite some time.
There is a small Spitfire simulator which throws you around. Costing only £4.50, it's 100% worth the money.
2,500 feet in 10 seconds. Stick back. Roll left. Dive to gain speed and close on the Spitfires.
So what's the significance of this?
So the significance of this is actually the watch office of the famous RAF Air Force pilot Douglas Bader. Bravely lost his legs in World War II and was the only man ever known to the Royal Air Force to actually fly with no legs. Very, very interesting. As you can see, there is all his kit and all that sort of stuff. And then you've got the legend himself over there on the side. Douglas Bader. Very, very interesting. George Samuelson, Douglas Blackwood. And that is his uniform. Right here. His uniform and a life story that's actually on a film called Reach for the Sky. It's a really, really good film. Highly recommend to watch.
So this is the Air and Sea hangar. Tyler, do you have any tidbits for this hangar?
Well, this is a Mitsubishi Zero, or
what's left of it.
Yeah. There's not many of those around, even most of them are replicas, but this one's a wreckage of a real deal.
The Havilland Civics and just at the back there.
Yeah, and if we turn our attention over just behind that helicopter, you might need to move over a couple of steps. So there's a Blackburn Buccaneer.
Oh, yes, I know what you mean.
No sign of the Bristol Blenheim, so I don't know where he is.
Oh, the cockpit section's up by the front
There's
still.
the cockpit, but I'm talking about the actual plane, the airworthy one based
There we
here.
go, that's a good view of it.
And swing back behind you, excusing my face and the barista, that is a fairy gannet. Very easily identifiable because of its twin props on the propeller.
Looks like a gannet too, looks like he's eating too much.
Looks like you, Tyler.
Let's talk about you, Mitch.
Looks like him.
The Eurofighter Typhoon. One of the newest planes you'll probably find at the Imperial Museum Duxford. This plane is still flying for air forces all over the world, including the British RAF, of which you've probably seen one in our Bournemouth Air Show video displaying live. And as you can see, the Eurofighter gets its name because the four countries behind its development are the British, the Germans, the Italians and the Spanish. What a plane.
So Tyler has said before that these aircraft out here are normally open during the summertime, and each time we've been here they've always been closed. So maybe next time, but not quite today. But there is a little Spitfire over there, so we're going to have a little look around that. So this BA-146, the Queen actually used to fly in. What was you saying just a second, Mitch?
Yeah, this is the statesman aircraft of the 146, specially configured to fly the late Queen Elizabeth II. And it was actually based at London City Airport, where I used to work actually, and was often visiting when she used to pick the Queen up. It's very, very nice.
This I think it's ME-105 or an ME-109, I can't remember off the top of my head. This actually landed in a field not too far away from here, and the museum basically brought it back in its exact position that it crashed in. They repainted one side, but they left the other by the looks of it, to show the extent of the damage and how the aircraft looked. And I think, just in that number 4, you can zoom in, I think that's a bullet hole. I'll have to go around in a moment and have a look. Yeah, there is a photo online somewhere of kids playing in this aircraft. Would you believe it? Nope.
Yeah.
This Bristol Blenheim was used in the film Dunkirk. I think that film came out in 2019, I believe, maybe a bit earlier. And if I remember right, in that film, it took out the Hangar 111, which, yeah. I saw this one last fly around 2015, 2016 maybe. I don't remember exactly, but it's quite a nice aircraft because it joined Sally B on that display as well.
Well, now we have one of the most interesting planes in the IWM collection. This plane is a Bristol Blenheim Mark 1. What makes this extra special is this is one of the few actual proper British-built Blenheims in existence. Most of the surviving Blenheims that did survive the war are actually Canadian-built examples known as a Bolingbroke. But this one is also airworthy, and it has flown at Bournemouth Air Festival in the past. Unfortunately, the year it flew was the one year I missed because it got rained off.
Yeah, I was just saying a moment ago that it flew with Sally B at the same time. It done its display, and then Sally B with it done a display with it for a couple of circuits.
Painting that one or something.
I think this Spitfire actually they found in a beach in I think Normandy or Dunkirk around there, and they basically restored it from what was left of its airframe to what you see now. That's on video. Yes. You meowing is now on video. And that's staying in.
Guys, move out the way, come on. Mama.
We got one of those at Bournemouth, the Having Vampire.
We do.
MiG-29, I think there's.
It's 21.
Sorry, 21.
I'm just Googling it, but I'm pretty certain the MiG-21 was the aircraft type one of these was used to shoot down Korean Air Flight 007 in 1983.
A Phantom and a Javelin. I think that's the one that they advertised on Facebook the other day, that one there.
Possibly.
Yeah. Each aircraft represents an aircraft that was gunned down during World War II. There's a fair few of them as well. One of the scariest weapons the Germans ever made during the war, the Doodle Bug. It's basically a bomb that's a drone. You know, and it had a very distinct sound towards it as well. So if you've ever heard that, there's no point running. It's going to get you. I would think this is the second best hangar of this museum after Hangar 1, of course.
Let's get into the Teletubby Dome.
This is the American Air Force Dome. It's quite big. And you get greeted by the B-52 bomber, nicknamed Buff, Big Ugly Fat. Okay, Jason, what's that aircraft there?
No idea.
That is an A-10 Warthog, the flying gun. They basically class that as a gun that flies.
Yeah.
Because of the minigun on the front. Again, a very distinct sound towards that aircraft. It is, yeah. You don't hear the engines, you hear the gun. That's
Fortress?
the last time we saw this, well, not this particular B-52.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. This
the last time we saw a Stratus Fortress fly was actually at Bournemouth Air Festival, going over as a surprise visit for the Air Festival. And
It was awesome.
it did a massive turn. We were told it was going to go around twice. It only went once, but they probably got called away to a mission because they were technically on patrol at that time.
I thought it was a Boeing Stearman.
One of them crashed at Bournemouth a couple of years ago, didn't it?
Yeah.
That one there. The blue one, the Boeing Stearman, there was an engine problem on one of the wing walker ones of that about 2021. Yeah, it had a forced water landing in Portkey.
Well, we're in the American Air Force Museum section at Duxford Airport, or Duxford Aviation Museum, and here we have one of the more iconic planes of the 20th century. This is the plane that could be argued that it ended World War II. This is the B-29 Super Fortress. Two of these, which are currently on display in America, actually dropped the bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Up here, somewhat obscured, we have a C-47 Dakota. Up here is a U-2 spy plane, very popular in the US infantry as a reconnaissance aircraft, and this in the Cold War was known for the Cuban Missile Crisis when one of these got shot down over Cuba. Over here we have the big itself, B-52 Stratofortress, the nuclear bomber that would carry the nuclear arms of the US to wherever the target was. Likewise in the UK we had the Avro Vulcan. Here's a workhorse of the US Air Force during World War II, used in both the Pacific and the European theatres. This is the B-24 Liberator. In fact, if you play Call of Duty 2, Big Red 1, PS2 game, you actually do get to be a crew member of the Liberator, and that's quite an interesting mission in itself. Here's the back end of the B-29, and a slightly better view of the C-47. Crawling around here, we have a P-47 Thunderbolt, popular fighter of World War II, popular as an escort, did a lot of ground targets as well. And just over here we have a even more iconic P-51 Mustang. Here is the B-17 Flying Fortress. This is a different one to the Sally B. There's two at this location, plus obviously the one at Hendon, which we'll get to. And up here the B-25 Mitchell, the barista's favourite plane. And this plane gained fame in World War II as being the aircraft used in the famous Doolittle raid over Tokyo in 1942, just months after the attack on Pearl Harbor.
And on a nice, hot, beautiful day, you can see the glorious runway of Duxford. When we were last here in South Thailand Reserve, you can see a couple of Tiger Moths, the Harvard and the Dragon Rapid flying off as well. And if I just come behind me and let the contrast sort it, there we go. Gorgeous B-17 bomber. There was actually a fair few years ago, there was a B-29 trying to be restored over in, I think, Alaska. It was on a frozen lake because they'd found it over there, and they'd fixed it up ready to fly. As it was taxiing, a heater had been knocked over onto the fuel tank, set fire, and yeah. So here we have the SR-71 Blackbird. This aircraft was made by mostly titanium, which the Americans had to ironically trade with the Russians during the massive war between America and Russia. The aircraft wasn't very fuel efficient, especially on the ground. It would leak a lot of fuel whilst doing its taxis because the skin would stretch and pull and all that. But it was an incredible bomber spy plane as well. One of the fastest and one of the best, as simple as that. Near the end of our tour, we saw a piece of the Twin Towers and a small video explaining how airspace was shut down across the whole of the United States on 9/11. It really was quite harrowing.
Well.
At the end of our day at the Imperial War Museum in Duxford, what was everyone's favourite part today, Tyler?
Seeing the airliner collection here at Duxford.
Okay.
Yeah, I stand by my halfway remarks of the Airworthy plane. Still the best, honestly.
Jason, what are you thinking?
Well, all of it, even my knowledge of the guns.
Well, your knowledge of guns is like Tyler's knowledge of airlines.
Yeah,
Mission?
Favourite part today, B-52, and seeing all the Airworthy aircraft in the hangars. And yeah, just being with everyone. It's been a wicked day. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I've got to agree. Concorde, Vulcan, B-52. It's just all incredible. I've got to say a very special thanks to our friends from the Dead South 2 Company group. Laura, Jamie, Mark and Mark, they're hanging about somewhere.
Hey.
Thank you guys for coming along. We absolutely loved it today.
Thanks for having us.
Come on, guys.
Come on, get in.
Come here.
Right, go on.
Well, we might, if you want it. There we go.
Yes, that's what you look like.
What's that? I wonder what was going on over here.
Yes, and thank you all very much for watching. We've been the SouthernAirs. Safe travels, my friends, and we shall see you in the next one.
Ciao, ciao.